So this Lophophora experiment was a mixed batch of control, magnetism, I'm pretty sure it's fire damage, and then a chemical application, and finally the shock treatment. So after almost a year, you can see there isn't a massive difference in between the lots. If anything, the control is a little bit behind the magnetism and the chemical application. There were quite a lot of losses in the shock treatment as well as the chemical. They were in rows of 3, and of the 12 seedlings, there's 3 survivors, and they are, I would say, on par with the control. Maybe a little bit bigger on some of them, but not a massive difference. The survivors don't have any unique growth characteristics, and they don't seem to be particularly interesting besides having survived at least one shock treatment. So with the chemical, this was to possibly induce mutations, and there was also some deaths on this. You can see there's 2 dead seedlings here, another here. These 3 died, and this is the 3rd from the row. So there's 4 larger seedlings, possibly 1, 2, 3, 4 smaller survivors. And again, the treatment is mixed. However, these 2 seedlings are in a contender for the largest seedlings in the entire experiment, besides this single magnetism seedling. In the end, this could all just be a genetic variation, and these are just the seedlings that are stronger and larger without any treatment applied to them. But with the magnetism, there was a mixed result, as with the other treatments. However, the largest seedling is between the chemical treatment and this magnetism. But with the magnetism, as with the control, there were some losses as well. But overall, it seems to be the highest survival rate from all of them. So there's 2, 3, 4 stragglers, maybe 1 loss, 1 death. And with the control is 3, 4 stragglers, maybe 1 death as well. And there's another one buried here. And the final experiment was the fire damage. The fire damage did have these 2 larger seedlings, but again, this could just be a genetic variation. There was maybe 2 deaths. They still may pull through, but 2 deaths and 1, 2, 3, 4 that were delayed or damaged excessively. But that does go on par with the other ones. So overall, this experiment was interesting to me. The magnetism may be worthwhile to test if you have extra magnets. I didn't want to purchase any, so these are just refrigerator magnets. They are a little bit strong, but not those neo magnets that are very strong. If there is enough interest, I may reattempt this with seedlings that are, well, from seed. Here I use 3. I could maybe do a larger area with more magnets on them And as for the fire damage, these did not induce any premature flowering. Maybe they were too young, since these were only a year old when the treatment was applied to them. But the chemical treatment is also interesting compared to the control. So I'll do a bit more experiments with my chemical treatment to see if I can do and have any interesting results. So yeah, this planter will be repotted soon, and I'll try to set up the new experiment for the cactus extract treatment and the mimosa extract treatment, to see if I could probably do a setup with a control and then the two applications, to see if there's any difference side by side. I'm not sure if I'll be using these or I'll just wait for my seeds to mature so I could start from seed. I won't be starting this right now since I have a few things going on, but I did think that the shock treatment would have more growth initially with the survivors. Even if the death rate was a bit higher, I did expect the growth to surpass the rest. So I was a bit disappointed in this result. But again, the chemical treatment is very interesting to me, so I'll repeat this. And the magnetism might be worthwhile for faster growth. In theory, they should actually be weaker in alkaloid content, since the magnetism reduces oxidation and other stresses on the actual plant. So it should, in theory at least, reduce the alkaloid production and just increase the biomass. And yeah, if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos of experiments that you would like to see, if it's within my scope of expertise or in my scope of actual capability of measuring them, I might attempt it in the future. Yeah, I guess that's it. Hopefully you enjoy this 1 year update, and if you're trying to pull some information from this video, you should consider adding magnets near your cacti or your other plants. There are some other videos on this. Lots of people suggested copper wire treatment for electro cultivation, but copper is quite expensive and I don't want to have to purchase much, since this is just a hobby and it gets quite expensive quickly. So yeah, if you want to see a whole planter with magnets versus a control, I might consider doing that. But from my personal experimenting, I will want to repeat the chemical treatment, which I'm not sharing the actual chemical, but it's for chromosome doubling. You can easily research what that is and how you can do that. And the magnetism is also quite interesting, considering the results. Even if it could just be a genetic variation, the controls are not very close to the amount of growth on these two, so I do think there is a difference. So yeah, I'm going to separate completely these chemical treated seedlings, since I want to keep a tab on them, but the rest will be all mixed so that there isn't a way to distinguish them. So during the Lophophora repotting, I noticed 2 pups on, this is the shock treatment, and the only other seedling that has pups as well is this one, which was from the chemical application. So these are being separated since they were treated chemically, and I'd like to see their growth separately, and the rest will all have their roots trimmed and repotted.